When it comes to situations like the Dead Apostle outbreak, it's clear to be seen that the church has no problem sliding through with the Black Keys. And that is why we're here today. We're going to talk about why they showed up and why it was so important for them to put an end to this outbreak as soon as possible. Now, like most series, vampires in the Nasuverse are humans who have had their blood sucked by other vampires, and the Dead Apostle is a subcategory of these vampires. But why do apostles exist in the first place? Well, this is due to the true ancestors. The true ancestors are the highest tier of vampires in the Nasuverse. Originally, Dead Apostles were created to neutralize the bloodlust that comes along with being a true ancestor. But something went horribly wrong. See, once you become an apostle, your body will forever go through a process of deterioration, and the only way to stop this is to consume the blood of other beings. The apostles who served under the true ancestors had been pledging their loyalty for quite some time, but after consuming the blood of so many humans, they started to develop their own will and told the true ancestors, "Screw you, we're not going to serve you anymore." It was at that point that those same apostles started to escape and became known as the Dead Apostle ancestors. What makes Dead Apostles different is their origin. One way to achieve this state would be by turning yourself into one through magical research. We saw this in Fate Zero. Shirley wanted to prove that Kirisugu's father had the sauce with his immortality research. So she took a swig of that Dead Apostle Kool-Aid, couldn't control it, and ended up becoming one herself. The other way that you can become one is via another Dead Apostle or a true ancestor. Once you've contracted the virus, there's a few paths you can take from that point on. Going by the Tsukihime verse, if the host doesn't inject his blood during the feeding process, you will be reborn as the dead. This means that you'll be more like a familiar and won't turn into an actual vampire. You will no longer have a will of your own, and instead of sucking on blood, you'll devour flesh in order to maintain the body. Over half of that same energy is then sent to the host. This is what makes them convenient for the parent. It allows the master to hide and replenish their energy while the familiars go out and do all the dirty work. Now, if the host does inject his blood during the feeding process, you will be reborn as a ghoul. The ghoul then feeds on dead bodies, working their way up to become an actual vampire. Once the vampire gets strong enough, they break free by killing the master and become a Dead Apostle. And both of these subjects do have the power to create other minions. If you have good potential, you'll skip all this and become a Dead Apostle off the jump. Now, in the Fate verse, the rules are different from Tsukihime and they shouldn't be conflated. And although the novel does say the entire island was turned into ghouls, it doesn't really go into detail about what a ghoul is in the Fate verse. If we're going by the depiction from the anime, it appears that they might be a mix between the dead and the ghoul from Tsukihime. Since Shirley was the one who started the infection to begin with, this would mean that every ghoul on the island was under her control. And it would further explain why the association and the church went out of their way to stop the evolution, even though these creatures would have just been trapped on the island anyway. As I mentioned before, apostles have to feed on blood in order to survive. In return, they have limited immortality, which means as long as they're getting a good supply of blood, they can't die. This is called the Curse of Restoration, which allows them to reverse their body to the time before they received an injury. How fast the ability works is tied to the phases of the moon, with the full moon being their max potential. When it comes to their power, the feats that they showcase are an extension of human capability. So when you think of your average apostle, think superhuman strength, superhuman speed, things of that nature. It all depends on who affected them, how long they've been around, and so forth. When it comes to weaknesses, they cannot cross bodies of water, They're weak against items that are holy, and of course, being in the sun will speed up their degeneration. However, there are some apostles who have the power to overcome the sunlight and move around during the day. Now, what most apostles want more than anything is to achieve perfect immortality. This means that they can live on forever and they won't have to rely on the blood of others. Naturally, we can't let that happen. This is where the Holy Church steps in. They don't like vampires, and since apostles only go around infecting other humans, the church sees them as a plague to society, and therefore they must be eliminated. The only time where this isn't true is when the apostle has become too strong and the church has to seal them away. Now, the Mages Association, on the other hand, is a bit different. They want to treat the apostles as lab rats. So instead of killing the vampires, they focus on getting rid of the people who know about them. They want to get rid of the evidence around them. If they don't have time to figure out whether you're an apostle or not, they'll just clap you anyway. Fuck it. Clap first, ask questions later. Lastly, I do want to clarify that the title Dead Apostle Ancestor does not cross over into the Fate world. It's mainly used in the Tsukihime verse and the extensions that come from that verse. Yes, there are characters from the Dead Apostle Ancestor list that exist in Fate, like Zelrech, but the concept of being an actual ancestor didn't make the cut. As of right now, Dead Apostles in the Fate verse is just a catch-all term, even for the ones who are considered to be the strongest. And that's if they still became a Dead Apostle in the Fate verse in the first place. But yeah, we're gonna dive into more detail about the ancestors soon. Very interesting list. These people are all types of broken, so be on the lookout for that. That about wraps it up. If you enjoyed the video, please like it up so we can get this trending. Feel free to add information as you see fit, and let me know what you guys think.